not state related. So those were brought down for a total of about a little less than 11,000. Any questions on these revenues at this point? Okay. In the state revenue, where our foundation is down net 17,614, that includes the section 22A, 22B, which is basically your foundation and your discretionary. The 51C, 51F, and 51A, which are all special ed categoricals as of April status report, and a lot of this is the taxable value adjustments as well as some other things. Section 35A9, summer reading grant came in at $71.98. This will provide our third grade reading program that it will go out throughout the summer. That is pretty much for the third graders, and I'm sure that parents that are of third grade will be hearing more on this. The Michigan Safety Police Safety Grant finalized at up about $5,000. Our various categorical adjustments were down about $4,200, and our prior year adjustments to special ed up about almost $30,000, so $29,754. Instructional expenses. Our instruction is down about $78,000 because we are closed now for the school year. We could take down our stub lines. We reduced our dual enrollment, closed that out for the year. And we have many of our parapros working in the food service program, so a lot of their salaries are being reclassified and being paid out of the food service program right now versus general fund. So that does relieve general fund for some of those costs. The added needs, this is mostly consists of categoricals such as Title I, 31A, and those type of things. And because those are expenditures that have to match revenues, there isn't a lot of adjustments there. This is mostly special ed, sub costs, and those sorts of things. So we're down a total of about $83,000 in instruction. On the support services side, pupil services is down around $14,000. That's due to a reduced nurse cost, reduced monitoring and instructional staff at about $2,500. In our general administrative services, we're down about $19,000. That's mostly legal, some advertising and workshops. Reduced sublines and overtime lines in our school administrative services. Our business services down about $7,000, and that's mostly the reduced SAN loan interest, which our interest for this year, we paid about $11,285 for this year. We took our first draw in about October, and we paid it off in March. And also some supply lines that I could take down in overtime lines. In operations and maintenance, down about $16,800, and that's for reduced utility lines. In transportation, we're down $181,000, and that is primarily, well, it is because of the food service program is absorbing those costs, or those costs have been reclassified to the food service program because they're delivering all the meals and so forth. Central services is up almost $100,000. That is primarily for the Chromebooks that we purchased to secure so that every student has access to a Chromebook in the fall. So if we do have to do distance learning again, we will have that capability. Athletics is down $74.43, and that is spring sport workers and entry fees that have gone down. Our shared time program is flat at this point. Facilities fairly flat, and our inter-district payments is down for a reduced prior year adjustments expense line that is not state involved either. So our total expenses on support services down about $160,700. That brings our total expenditures down to $244,034, which is $20,178,323 in total expenditures. Use of fund balance in March was at $284,960, is now down to $73,616. So we've been able to reduce about $211,000 from the budget. That brings our fund balance as of today that we're expected to have at 6/30 to 2,614,325, or approximately 12.96%. Are there any questions on the May amendment at this time? Okay. So I wanted to summarize, because I know that we didn't, we wanted to bring food service and child care budget to you, but it's just moving so quickly that, and there are still some other decisions that we've been making in terms of the extended food program and so forth. So I wanted to just update you on those two programs, and we'll bring you a final amendment in June. The emergency food assistance program is at, well, as of 5/6 was at 144,000. As of today, it was over 153,000 meals that have been delivered, which is amazing. And I think kudos to all that have been involved. And I just can't say enough about it. We are charging to the program to offset general fund as we can. So transportation costs, parapro costs, any costs that we can charge to the food service is going to relieve the general fund, which is, really nice to be able to have that. Additional expenditures in fund brings higher indirect costs back to the general fund. So as we increase our expenditures in food service, that will increase the amount of indirect costs that we can bring back to general fund at the end of the school year. The program has been extended now to June 30, 2020. We are working on that and hopefully communicating that this Friday. We're looking at more or less 7 days a week yet, 2 meals per day. But we are looking at putting 5 or 6 buses in 5 or 6 different locations for grab and go pick up for the community to grab, as well as our school buildings like we've been doing. And we are doing that primarily. We can't continue the bus runs. We aren't going to be able to establish enough staff to be able to continue the whole bus run thing. So we will hope to communicate that this Friday, and we're solidifying those plans this week, and we'll have that out to community, and we'll remind them as we go forward over the next couple of weeks on Facebook and whatever else we need to do to make sure that they understand that. The program is expected to break even with little impact to the food service fund balance as of June 30, 2020. And the CEP update, I am still waiting for building level information. We have the district-wide info, but the district-wide info is stating that we are not eligible at this point to have a district-wide CEP program in our district for the 2021 school year. We don't know what that means until we get the building level information. We're hoping that it can at least remain the same, but at this point we know we're not going to be able to do K-12. We just don't know exactly what that means, and I will definitely, as everything in the state, it's lagging, everything is lagging a little bit behind. So we're behind on getting the information we need from the state for this, but we will be sure to communicate that. Any questions on food service?
I have one. You said the program has been extended to June 30th, 2020. Okay, but you're switching from delivery to bus stops strategically located. When's that going to happen? Did I miss it?
So our last school day is May 29. So we'll continue the program as is through May 29, and it will the following week.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Okay. On child care end, the child care workers have been getting paid throughout these last couple months. We have applied for a very new grant that just came out last week called the Child Care Relief Fund Grant. That grant is going to enable the child care fund to continue paying their child care workers through April, May, and June. And at this point, I can't even tell you the exact dollar amounts. That's why we didn't go forward with a budget at this time. Hopefully, I will know for next month, or at least we'll have a closer idea. So that has been applied for. It's pretty much a given. We're going to have it. And they haven't told us whether it's going to get extended into the summer. We don't know that. So we'll keep communicating on that. there will not be a summer program due to the compliances that we have to take, and that's that we have to have 1 to 6 children, and groups can't intermingle. No parents in the building, no playgrounds to use, or we can't take any field trips. There's strong protocols for hourly cleaning and toy rotation. So you have to have these groups of 6 going from room to room and cleaning every hour after them. And those are just a few of the protocols, and we just are not staffed or even have the capacity to do something like that. So any questions on the child care program? Okay, that's all I have. Any questions on everything? Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
And this should, I believe, will be our final presentation, and we welcome our Director of Facilities, Mr. Thomas Finney. And I believe he's being supported today by Mr. Robert Gulliver from OAK. So welcome. We're glad you're here, and we will turn it over to Mr. Finney.
Okay, we recently put out for bid the summer painting projects, and I am actually going to let Rob talk to you about this because he does it so well. He's done it so many times. So go ahead, Rob, take it away.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks for having me on the call today. So as Tom said, we'll be doing a painting project at the high school. That includes the gymnasium, the wood shop, the wrestling room, media center, and the main corridor from the administration out to the outdoors. So that will include sandblasting and repainting all of that peeling paint that we're all not happy about. So we got favorable bids, a good number of bidders. There was 5 total, which was more than we were expecting. We did come in under budget, so we felt pretty good about the project overall. The summary sheet there is listed the bidder that we're recommending for award tonight. That gives a breakdown of the cost of the project. Is there any questions on that?
I would like to add that if you notice that Volcoma Decorating coming as the absolute low bid, but they had messed up on their math, so they had asked to be withdrawn. And we let them go because we don't want somebody who underbid the project that bad to do it. So we went with the next bid of $194,959 with Fork Brothers Painting in Zealand.
And Tom and Rob, you guys did a walkthrough with them, I believe, on Friday, correct, too, as well?
Yes, we did a walkthrough with them, and they seemed very comfortable with their bid. They were there was no surprises for them. They actually got to see it in person. They bid it off of a virtual meeting, so that was something I've never seen before, and I'm sure Rob's never seen before, or them. But they were very pleased, and they were very confident they could maintain schedule on this job and even start a little ahead of when they thought they were going to be able to.
Good.
Yep. Any other questions?
No.
There. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I don't know if you need to leave, Mr. Gulliver, but we thought we'd let you present, and then we're going to go back to finances for school equity pricing.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks.
Sorry, I keep forgetting to unmute. Okay, so as we always do, we have to do they call it a PLE process, but it's the equity in school lunch pricing. We do this every year. Every year we have to go through and show you, that we have to do a minimum of a 10-cent increase on our school lunches. However, due to the pandemic, they have put an exemption in for the 2021 school year for any food service programs that have had a positive fund balance as of December 31, 2019. Because we had a positive fund balance as of December 31st, we are recommending that we do not raise any prices. I did show the K through 5 price here only because we're still waiting on the CEP, but I do anticipate that we'll at least have the elementaries and the CEP program. So, but our recommendation is to take advantage of this and to give that relief to our families who may be struggling at this time, maybe out of work, maybe, you know, just trying to get back on their feet, and keeping our prices remaining the same. So, thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone for the presentation.
I think Jill is muted, but it's on to me at administrative report. So I will, I'll begin there. So, you're all right, Jill.
Typical. Okay, yes, thank you very much.
So, real quick, starting with, and I'm going to flip back and forth between my screen here. So if it looks like I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm not. But a couple things. Just want to celebrate a couple senior honors real quick. So I want to congratulate Allison Myers. And Allison Myers and Brady Stein. They are our salutatorians for the class of 2020. I also want to congratulate Aaliyah Molnar and Abigail Jason as our valedictorians for the class of 2020. So congratulations to them. I also, a couple things for, as we look at school and planning here, board, we're going to have to, once we get diplomas in, I am going to have to work with you on getting those signed, because we do have students who are going to need to get those diplomas, whether they're going off to military or some of them are looking at certain jobs and things like that. So we're going to do our best to get those to them. I actually talked to some of the other SUPs about this. We're actually maybe even have to come up with a creative way maybe to distribute those, even though graduation will be after we distribute diplomas. But we do have students that we're starting to get requests from that need transcripts and or diplomas. We have some students that ship out, you know, within a week after graduation. And, you know, for those students, I believe they need a diploma to do that. So, and then we have a few students, I believe, who are starting some things like summer college programs and different things like that need diplomas. So I'm going to work with Tim and Connie. I don't know where those diplomas are in the midst of it, but just know that we're looking at something as well to maybe get those distributed for students who do need those diplomas. A couple other things just so you're aware of. Typically in the month of May, we'd be talking handbooks. I am having them do some revisions to handbooks. I'm also going to have them look, and we may have to have an athletic committee meeting between now and June at the possibility of changing things as MHSAA changes things. They've already looked at possibly, you know, if you had a physical at a certain point last year, it would count through this next school year. There's other things that are coming down that could change handbooks. I guess the biggest thing I want to say on handbooks is be prepared in the fall that we may have to make addendums to handbooks just based on what's happening, you know, with school and how school's changing and requirements and what couldn't do this year. But we are going to try to get those handbooks to be approved in June. Probably not going to be a lot of changes right now. But, you know, I've kind of told the admin, you know, we may have to do changes and add addendums and, you know, or appendixes in the fall and get those out to parents. Not the most ideal thing or situation, but it's just something we might have to do based on the conditions that we're in. So please be aware of that. Any questions with that? Nope. So real quick, Kathy talked about this briefly. We do have the CARES Act money. It's been sent to schools. It's about, for Tri-County, about $310,000 roughly. Kathy and I are having to learn about what to do with that money. That money, you know, is to be used to help support in this situation. We have till, I believe, either June of 2021, although we've heard as far out as June of 2022 to expend that money, but we need to learn more details on that CARES Act money. For those that have or have not been following, the state budget revenue consensus will be May 15th. We'll know more then. However, the dollars we're getting currently is there could be up to a $1 to $3 billion shortfall in the school aid fund this year and a $1 to $4 billion shortfall next year in that state aid fund. What that equates to is anywhere from a $325 per pupil cut, could be even up to or more than a $900 per pupil cut. That's drastic, and it's something that we're going to have to prepare for. At the same time, I think that we're going to have to be wise as we're doing this to understand our community, what we can do to support. We did, talk to Finance Committee about this. We need to understand our fund equity. We need to understand where we can be wise within our schools to make diligent decisions within the budgets to continue to support education and the positive things we've done. But at the same time, this kind of reminds me of 2011, where they took $427 per pupil, and we had to sit down and we had to really look at our school, and it became a challenging time. I think that we need to collaborate as a board. We'll continue to collaborate with our union groups and with our administrators on how we can, work together in this challenging time. We hope the economy gets back soon and we don't see this drastic of a situation, but we have to prepare for multiple situations. We are currently planning kind of multiple budgets, Kathy and I, for that we're looking at, so that if it is the worst case scenario, at least we have something planned. And then if it's a better case scenario, that we can look to hopefully add back things that we may have already cut. So this is going to be a challenge. I think that we have a good collaborative group. People are up for it. One thing I've continued to tell our associations and tell our administrators is we have to have open conversations where things are going to be said that are hard, because it may be something taking away from something you actually personally enjoy. But at the same time, we have to be able to listen to everybody, respect opinions, and have the conversation. And that includes me. It's not always easy hearing things that we put together that are good, and somebody else may not see a value in it. And somebody may see a strong value in it, but just be aware of that. I would encourage you, I think it came out today, on May, I believe it's 18th, MASB and MASA are doing a joint session on the revenue consensus. I believe we got an email that from MASB today. I know I got one from MASA today. I'd encourage you for you to register for that and listen to that, because I think that we'll have a better idea, at least a first blush of what we might be looking at for the revenue. I don't know if we're going to see a revenue by July 1st. I don't know if we're going to have one from the state. I would be very surprised by it. So I think you're going to have to plan that we're going to do the best we can to get you the information. I also think that we're going to have to plan that the budget for the school for 2020 and 2021 will not be out until after we pass the budget June 30th, which will make, I know, very difficult for boards to do. There is still conversation of a proration this year, okay, which is very difficult because we're told we have to pay everybody and continue supporting where we can, but there is a chance of a proration this year. Now, with our fiscal year kind of ending June 30th, we don't know what that proration is going to look like, but there could be some prorations in the state budget for fiscal year 19-20. So just be aware of those things. We'll try to get you the information. I'd encourage you, watch what's coming out with MASB, watch what's coming out. We'll try to get you the information. That's about as much as we know right now. We're still waiting again for the revenue consensus, which will take place on the 15th of May. And then directly after that, I'm sure you're going to start seeing emails from Kathy and I, and then you'll get updates from your associations as well. So that's the challenging news, but I think that you need to be aware of that. I think our community needs to be aware of that. This does not just go for Tri-County. This goes for every school in the state of Michigan. We're talking per pupil funding, not something that Tri-County's board or Tri-County's looking to make this. This is going to be something that is a challenge in the state of Michigan as we educate students. So we'll continue to look at all things and continuing to look at ways we can collaborate with legislation even on what could we look at to support reducing costs to support education next year. Maybe some of the unfunded mandates can be dropped for a year, and we can put that money back into the classroom where it belongs. So I'll get off my soapbox before I get myself in trouble. Alrighty, next one. Oh, let's go to good news because we like that. Well, let me finish with this before I go to the good news. So strategic planning. The strategic plan is out there, and that was based obviously on the revenue that we thought was coming in. So I think it probably some point in June or July, we may need to come back and take a look at what we had finalized for strategic plan and see what are some areas we can target within that. obviously some of the things with the bond can continue to go forward, but there's some other areas that we had hoped to do, I know, as a board and as an admin team and as teaching staff that just may not happen based on the budget constraints. So just be aware that was strategic plan. But I do think in July, we probably ought to sit down with that, take a good look at that. June is going to be a month where we're probably doing budget. So I don't want to jump into strategic plan until after that is settled a little bit. Julie Scott, myself, and Mr. Clegg met with the University of Michigan. They have a program called Roadmaps that's coming out. It links with a Google Classroom very well. But what it really is nice that it does is it creates a seamless K-5 environment. So if we're teaching in the class and all of a sudden we have to be out of the class for a day, and let's say it's even a snow day, it would transition very smoothly. So it's set up that you have a credit, or not a credit, you have a standard, and then you have a roadmap of the things and activities you have to do to accomplish that standard. This does not take away the teacher from the classroom. The teacher is actually the facilitating guide to this program. And so the activities that teacher might have, let's say it's 5 or 10 of them to meet the standard, would all be listed in this roadmap. And so if for some reason a student was not available to be in school, they could still have the roadmap and understand the project or the activity they'd have to work on. It's like a learning management system. Schools are catching on to this program being available, and they're trying to quickly get on it because there could be some grant money available to help build and support this project. Today, I met with the leader of this project, who's actually with the University of Michigan, and there is kind of the engineering software side of things. And he would like to partner with Tri-County in writing a grant to the Kellogg's Foundation. He has also asked me to partner another school within Montcalm County to look at joining with us in this grant and working on roadmaps. This will be an open platform, so whatever we create will be available to other people. This is not something that will be proprietary to Tri-County. I'm fine with that. I feel that education should be free and we should educate all. And if this is an opportunity that we can create something that our teachers and our staff can help educate children elsewhere, we should do that and give that to them. So the University of Michigan will be supporting us in that. We are looking to have what we'd call a digital coach that we're going to look into right into the grant that would work with our teaching staff in creating this. There's no cost to Tri-County outside of time and helping build with the University of Michigan and develop this program. So my next meeting for this program will be on Wednesday. What I appreciate about when we worked with University of Michigan on this and had their team together, what we've worked on is really this idea that it's seamless, that school is seamless. Whether we're in session or we're out of session, we have a seamless system. Because as we know, this does not just matter. I mean, this has obviously risen because of the pandemic. We had 17 snow days last year. Imagine if we could have had a roadmap during that week off where kids could have had a better opportunity to continue or maintain learning during that process. We understand we still have hurdles. For instance, we still have the hurdle of looking at hotspots and things like that. Eric and I are working on that. We have contacted one company. We are also in contact. We're looking to contact Verizon and other companies to see what we can do as far as those hotspots. Even the possibility, we're seeing some good luck with even the remote hotspots. For instance, there's spots where we could go maybe and put it on a bus. The bus goes and parks and becomes the hotspot. So we're seeing some of those concepts, and they might have to go to different spots during the day, depending on availability for it. But I'm already hearing legislation talk, when we had to have phone lines in every house, they found ways to make sure there is availability for it. And I think that you're going to see the same sort of thing with internet. I don't know what's going to happen with 5G, but that's one of the hurdles we'll continue to work on. But I don't think it's a hurdle that we say, let's not plan for this because we have this hurdle. We need a plan for it. And part of the thing I personally have been selling to the University of Michigan is, listen, this is a hurdle, but rural education needs support when it comes to technology and digital curriculum. We need this support. We're 130 square miles. Okay, we have got to find ways that if things happen where kids can't get to school, that we can do this. And I have a larger concern. If we have state cuts, we know what is going to get cut in the wintertime: overtime and plowing. What's that? When that gets cut, guess what that means? More early mornings for Tom, more, yeah, and possible snow days. So we saw that when we had the last round of cuts. And so, you know, something that could enhance the education that we do daily is really cool. That's one of the neat things about this program. This isn't a program that we're just going to look at and say, this is done only when kids are not in school. You could actually get your Chromebook out, that now we have Chromebooks for every student, you know, K through 12, whether it be on a cart. You can open up and your roadmap is there every day for this child. So think of it when you went into a class and you saw your classroom calendar. Well, that can still be on the board, but now you've got the roadmap within the computer that you can see and that you can follow. Julie and Dan are both, I know, excited about it. I think there's some opportunities as well within special education that can be supportive, especially for students with 504 plans who may have compromised immune systems and need time off school. They can continue on that pathway with the roadmap. So we're pleased with that. So, and there's Finney. So, all righty. I think that got to all of the ones that I was looking at. So, any questions for me?
What's the time frame on that, Al? I know you said you're meeting Wednesday, but what does that look like rolled out?
We hope that by the fall to get rolled out. I think we can for sure have social studies done, and we can have Go Math completed by the fall, because it's pretty seamless to roll those kind of programs over. I don't know where we're going to be with ELA, and I think we'll be maybe a little further along with Reading Street, because it's got some online components, and then we're going to have to work on the 3.5 ELA to slide that across. Because they've done some work in Genesee County, I think they've already got some work done with the NGSS, so we'll have to see with the science. So I'm going to say by fall, our hope is having math, social studies, and hopefully a start on the ELA, and then during the year, we'll start building the ELA. Fortunately, we have our standards pretty much complete, and our teachers don't have to be the ones to write the curriculum and put in the computer. We're not doing that. They're doing that work. We just got to tell them what to put in there, which is really nice, because that takes a lot of time to have to do that. So, and then our teachers would be looking at it and building those processes. So we hope by the fall we'll have some of that. We are writing some of this grant that we can do some pay to teachers as well. There will be some stipends for a teacher to do this work if they do this work over the summer. So, you know, again, I don't know when we'll meet with the Kellogg's Foundation. I'm gonna, you know, I've invited another school in our county to join in this. That's a neighboring school that I think would be a good partner with them, with us, and then we'll get it off to the Kellogg's Foundation. He's got about 3 others that he's looking at as well, because they're very well connected in the foundation world. It seems like so. I'm hoping by fall that we have some of this kicked off.
Good.
Sounds like this could also be really good with the Hill grant. I mean, what Julie's been doing. So we've done a lot of the groundwork with the Hill grant. So this is exciting, I would think, and to have a blended curriculum.
Agreed. Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Next, we have a couple of committee reports to give, and we'll start off with Mr. Campbell, and he'll tell us about finance.
So I had a switch, so you guys can hear me, right? Okay. The Finance Committee met just before this meeting at 5:30. We did review the budget amendment, as Ms. Coffin had and Mr. Cummings did allude to the budget analysis that we looked at. At this time, we're waiting for some guidance to see what the funding will be. There's a lot of discussion on how to budget for the next couple of years. It's going to be very difficult. So that's a huge topic there. Mr. Cummings also alluded to that we did receive about $310,000 for the CARES Act. Again, for those who are watching this video, it is a grant, so it does not have to be repaid. And we are researching possible uses for that. I think we can use it for payroll because we are still currently paying our staff. we reviewed the interest that we're earning on some of our bonds. It's projected total of $364,000 that is estimated to be earned. Kaufman is moving some money around. Interest rates are not great right now. She apparently is, doing very well, maximizing what we can earn, moving things out of the ones that are earning less, and finding the ones that are earning more rate or more interest rate, and then we're going to revisit some of those when they mature. We are going to revisit the bus and truck rotation next month, hopefully in person. And our next meeting will be June 8th. Any questions?
Great. Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you.
And next, we have a report from Facilities Committee members. I'm not sure who's reporting tonight. Mrs. Ford?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. We met on last Wednesday, May 6th, and we talked a little bit about the painting situation and the bids, which has already been covered this evening. Also talked about the cleaning and maintenance of the buildings, and that's going to be scheduled hopefully no later than the end of June. Hopefully we can get an early start. Mr. Finney can kind of elaborate a little bit more on that. We also talked a little bit about the soil boring, and I didn't know if Mr. Cummings wanted to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, I can do that real quick. In your packet, I think in your packet, you got the soil boring bids, and those were under the threshold. And so we talked about that when we did bids, that we weren't going to bring everything to you, but we want to make you aware of where bids come in at. And so we're going to give that bid to Soils and Structures, who have done quite a bit of work for us when we've done soil borings that way. So that was the selection that Mr. Finney, King Scott, and myself discussed, is going to move forward with them. So, but we did have 3 bids for that. They were low bid, and we felt they had all the specs, so we should be good. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Cummings. We also mentioned that there's going to be a meeting with the high school cafeteria committee on May 20th to kind of generate ideas and also talk about needs for the future. So that group, I think this may be their second meeting that they've had. And then also on vehicles and equipment, Mr. Campbell already kind of discussed that with his report with finance, but we have some old motors, and thank goodness we have Mr. Finney that can kind of do his magic on our lawnmowers and keep those running, so we don't have to purchase anything new at this point in time, but probably in the future that will be a need.
Yeah,
so that's everything. Go ahead.
I'm gonna jump in there.
Would you like me to jump in now?
2 mowers went down this week. two of our 3 mowers went down this week. So we are working to get one is running. We are working on getting the other one repaired, and Tom and I are looking at options because the third one is not repairable. So we got our time and money out of it, right? I mean, trust us. I mean, that's a 2001, Tom?
Yeah, 2001 with 3,000 hours plus on it, which is
so
unheard of.
Yeah, we won, but so Tom and I have met. We're looking at options, and we're going to see what we can do to find. Obviously, we're in a situation with a budget crunch, but at the same time, we have to be able to mow the lawns. And with schools being 12 miles apart, so we've got to have enough. Now, we may keep the one that is broken down. We like to continue to buy the same brand. Typically, I'm not saying we're going to, but we typically do, because then we can use those for parts. But just be aware of that.
See, we shouldn't have talked about it on May 6th. You lost your magic.
It was gone right then.
Gone. Yeah.
And that was kind of everything I think that we discussed during the meeting. Is kind of a brief meeting that we had. So our next meeting will be on June 3rd at 4:00.
Okay.
Great. Any questions from anyone? Well, all right. This will be the next item on our agenda is our first opportunity for public comment to anyone who's here to speak to agenda items only. Mrs. Dewey, do we have any email comments or callers?
I don't. We're good.
Okay. That brings us to our first item of business tonight. The consent agenda, which includes the minutes from the April 13th, 2020 regular meeting, minutes from the April 20th, 2020 special meeting, and accounts payable of $1,899,433.63. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
This is Madonna. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. This is Lana Ford.
We have a motion by Princer and supported by Ford. Is there any questions or discussion? Mrs. Dewey will get a roll call for us, please.
Okay. Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
and Dewey, yes.
That motion carries 7-0. Our next item for action is the Food Service Management Bid Award. This information was presented to us at last month's meeting. We had bids, and the recommendation is to award the bid to Chartwell. They did come in as our low bid. And this has also been approved by the state of Michigan. This is a formality that has to be done. So Superintendent Cummings, you're recommending?
Yeah, I recommend we continue with Chartwells. They've done an excellent job with our school district, and that we continue to move forward with them.
Okay, wonderful. So we would love to have a motion.
Make a motion that we approve Chartwell's.
Support Gould.
All right, motion by Mr. Campbell and supported by Mrs. Gould to award the contract to Chartwells. Any discussion needed or questions before we vote? All right, Mrs. Dewey?
Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Katcha, Campbell, Ford,
Yes.
and Dewey.
All right,
Yes.
that motion. Yes.
Yeah. I was told by a wise board member long ago, who's been on the board for a long time, I needed to mix up those names, so I've been doing that. Right, Janet?
That's right. Yeah, I remember the answer too, though.
Wonderful. So that motion carries 7-0. We will move on now to the proposed Montcalm area intermediate school district budget. We heard the presentation at our last meeting, and this is the budget for their 2020-21 school year. So we're looking for a motion to adopt this budget. And we've already read the resolution in our packets, but once we'll have Mrs. Dewey read the resolution for us for our visitors, anyone that's here, but we'll get a motion to get it on the table. So do we have a motion to approve the budget?
This is Ford. I make a motion that we approve the 2020-2021 MAISD budget.
Support? Anybody?
Support,
Mr. Campbell, I think.
support,
Yeah.
Dewey?
Was that you, Brian?
That was me, Dewey.
Phone is very weak, so I think Brian was on that support.
Oh, was he? Okay. I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, we're a little bit of audio difficulty, but I'm watching him closely.
Yeah.
Okay, keep an
We
eye
have a
on him.
motion by Ford and supported by Campbell to approve the MAISD budget. Mrs. Dewey, do you want to share with us some highlights of the resolution?
Actually, I don't have that right in front of me. Do you have it right in front of you?
Yes, I do, actually. So it talks about the meeting and that we received the ISD general fund operating budget before May 1st, which we did in April. And therefore, be it resolved, the ISD general fund operating budget for 2020-21 school year be supported, and that the secretary of the board is hereby directed to submit a copy. So
Okay,
I don't do
thank
these.
you very much. I think I read it last month, but
Yeah.
Yep. So that's where we're at. And we have a motion and support. And Mrs. Dewey, if you go for roll call, please.
yes. Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
and Dewey, yes.
Motion carries 7-0 to approve that budget. Next item for action is we're looking for approval for the K-12 online course offerings that Superintendent Cummings presented to us earlier in the meeting.
This is Madonna. I make a motion to approve as presented earlier the K-12 online course offerings for credit or to advance to the next grade.
Support. This is Lana Ford.
Motion was made by Mrs. Princer and supported by Mrs. Ford. Is there any discussion or questions? Mrs. Dewey, please.
Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
okay, Ford,
Yes.
Dewey, yes.
Motion carries 7-0. And Superintendent Cummings, I didn't ask for your blessings because you presented. So,
Thank you. All right.
not forgetting
I
you.
give the thumbs up though to Madonna. She did a nice job on the,
Yeah.
However, we will have our proposed budget, so I am guessing that you are recommending the board approve our proposed general fund budget.
yes, I recommend the board approve the general fund budget as presented.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we present or approve the general fund budget amendment as presented. This is Campbell.
Okay.
Support Gould.
Motion by Campbell and supported by Gould. Any further questions? Questions for Kathy while she's here? No, Mrs. Dewey then. We'll have roll call, please.
Member Ford,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Dewey, yes.
And that motion carried 7-0. And that's a resolution which I have. We heard the budget, and for any public that has joined us, be it resolved with approximate fund balance, as we heard earlier, $2,614,325. So that is the resolution that we will sign, make official.
Okay.
Our last item on the agenda is the high school painting bid award, which we did here, and I'm pretty excited that we can have some construction start up again.
Yeah. And the teal is going to be gone.
And you recommend the bid award as Mr. Finney
And Mr. Gulliver. Yep,
and Mr.
presented.
Gulliver recommends?
Yep, and he is from OAK, by the way. I think on our agenda it had him from Keith Scott. He's from OAK.
Yep, we
So just
did.
so you're aware.
In the introduction, I said OAK, so.
Thank you. Thank you.
We were on that. Thank you.
Yep.
So do we have a motion for the high school painting bid award? And I believe OAK has helped us with some technical, how they feel the motion should be worded. Did anybody?
I didn't have any luck copying mine from the zip today, so I don't have it.
So, yeah, here's the question. They sent us a recommended motion to make. And which would be, I move that Owen Ames Kimball be authorized to issue letters of intent in the amount indicated to contractors. And so, this is a long motion. To contractors and suppliers listed below, pending confirmation that all requirements of the contract documents have been met. So that is the recommended, and it says furthermore, upon receipt by Owen Ames Kimball of the appropriate documentation, contracts be awarded to these contractors and suppliers by Tri-County area schools. And so that's Vork Brothers is the recommendation. I think maybe for our purposes, we could abbreviate that motion into something you're familiar with.
I think with our contract with OAK that you would, I think you're going to have to follow somewhat their recommendation that we award OAK, like you had stated, that OAK has, we recommend that OAK work with Tri-County on securing the paint bid and not,
Okay.
does that make sense? Because
So
remember, we have a contract with OAK to be our CM to provide this service.
So the motion I just read that they recommended, we can use that as the motion of record.
Yeah, thank you.
Would somebody like to say that's what?
I will, Dan Dewey. I make a motion that we accept the recommendation from OAK as read. Does that work? Does that work? Okay, good.
And supported by Campbell. You guys are such seasoned vets. All right, that motion was made by Mrs. Dewey and supported by Mr. Campbell. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Finney or Mr. Cummings while we're still on the subject? All right, Mrs. Dewey for roll call.
Okay, Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Dewey, yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 7-0. And that's the end of our action items. This brings us to our second opportunity for public comments. Mrs. Dewey, and to general items. I
don't have anybody. No, I have none.
Nope. All right. Then our next item of business is for board comments. Any board members have anything they wish to share with the rest of us, or?
I'll share.
Mr. Campbell.
So, yeah, my daughter might not be thrilled that I'm putting this on a video, but the other day she was literally in tears that she couldn't be at school, and I don't know, it just kind of tugs at my heartstrings too. And she went out to meet some of the teachers that were riding the bus, and I don't know, it's really hard. It's hard on these kids, and it's hard on the graduating class, but the teachers are missed greatly, and the school, being at school, is missed, and everything that's going on with it, and I think that this school is doing a really good job. But those feelings are out there, and we, in light of this week, we do appreciate the teachers, and yeah, it's just sad. Can't wait to get back next year in the fall.
Did everybody, thank you, Mr. Campbell. It's really, things are tough for kids. So I'm kind of having a frozen screen here.
We can hear you.
Everything froze up for a moment. So
Okay.
we're all still here. Any other
Yeah.
comments, from board members? Nope. All right. Our next item on the agenda is to enter into a closed session. Once we do that, we will leave this meeting and the board will enter a private meeting room, and then any viewers can sit tight until we return, and we will return for the purpose of adjourning. So there's really not much after the closed session, but you are welcome to stay if you so desire. And at this time, we will need a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of negotiations.
This is Paul. I'll make a motion. We go into closed session for the purpose of negotiation.
This is Ford, support.
Motion by Mrs. Powell and supported by Mrs. Ford. Mrs. Dewey for roll call.
Yes, Member Gould,
Yes.
Princer,
Yes.
Fennessy,
Yes.
Powell,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Dewey, yes.
All right, motion carries. We will currently temporarily leave this meeting. And this is our first effort to leave and enter another meeting. So,
Come back.
and then come back if we all make it back.
Yeah.
Hope we do. Anyway, so, all right, follow what you know. We'll be back.
Here we are.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Thank you, Eric, if you're still there.
Yeah.
And we've still got Jerry, Brian's in. We returned to open session at 8:47.
Waiting for Sherry.
Yeah, I think we gotta wait for Sherry. She's not here yet. So we are in open session. She reminded me we didn't do a motion to go.
That's right.
Yeah, I said we didn't do a motion to, I was wondering that.
We're a little rusty, Sherry. So do we want to go ahead, as if we are still in closed session, move to return to open?
There you go.
I make a motion to move back to open session.
Support. This is Ford.
All in favor to be back in open session, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Doesn't it have to be a roll call?
I don't think
Yeah.
we were in closed session, so the roll call.
Okay.
So,
Well, make sure we do this right.
Yeah.
so now we're in open session. The public would have not heard that vote anyway. So we do roll call for their benefits.
Okay.
So we are actually officially in open at 8:49. And Mrs. Wheeler might still be sitting in closed session. And so we had a motion by Princer and supported by Ford. Can you hear me, Sherry? We can't. You're on mute. Oh, she can't control her mute. Okay, I'll give her these notes if she needs to know.
All right.
Anyone have any comments? Our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Monday, June 8th. And if we have no further business before the board, motion to adjourn.
Powell will make a motion to adjourn.
Or Campbell.
Motion by Powell and supported by Campbell. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried, and we are adjourned at 8:50. Thanks, everyone. I've just worked really well.
No, great job. Thank you.
Yep.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Good night. We'll see you.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.